My radio program a few years ago, before the collapse even began, and I talked about the economy before the big crash. I was mocked by almost everybody in my listening audience and the press. I remember being openly laughed at for warning about a possible Great Depression. A couple years goes by, and our president is using similar language, both Bush and Obama. You and I were both called racist and drama queens for calling Obama a Marxist socialist who wants to fundamentally transform our country. As Harry Reid would say, need I say more on that one? In January, I told you that the race card would be used right around the elections because that's all they had left. The reason why I bring these things up is I just want to remind you I have a decent track record. I'm not right all the time, but I have a decent track record. May I now ask you to disregard those who will likely mock the thing I'm telling you tonight, that America is repeating the mistakes of the Weimar Republic. I tell you this not because I expect it to change, but I expect you to do something to prepare yourself. I touched on the Weimar Cabaret last segment. It was the epitome of moral decline in Germany. It rotted their society, and the average citizen was seduced into despair, hopelessness, and ignorant bliss. I know I'm going to be criticized for this comparison, but it is the same story throughout all of history, and someone has to point it out. When man tries to rely on himself or the government as a beacon of hope, morality, we always fall short every single time. We cannot make it alone, and left to our own devices, there's trouble. Being good for the sake of just being good is a losing formula. History proves it. Throughout all time. If we as Americans can still think out of the box and we want a different result than every previous civilization that we are following in their path, we must try something different, and we better try it soon. Right now we are repeating the same mistakes. The mistake that distancing ourselves from God is okay. I was on with Bill O'Reilly last night. We had an interesting exchange, and I want you to see if you notice something. We have got to get back to our churches, our synagogues, our mosques, whatever it is, as long as it's not telling you to blow things up. Get back to God and get to the back to the founding principles.
I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, it's a noble thing you're trying to do because spirituality is a good thing.
You can argue about abortion or gay marriage or whatever all you want.
Yeah.
The country is burning down.
But isn't that one of the reasons, because we're getting away from the traditional way we used to live into this progressive
go back to instead of arguing about these divisive things, let's get back into our churches and our synagogues.
And you're not going to get people going back unless there's a reason to go back.
This is the reason, America. The events haven't happened yet, but they don't have to. The country is on fire. We must turn around. We must look to God again. If we try the same solutions that past civilizations have tried, guess what? We're going to have the same result, and it is failure. These problems are too big for us to handle. We're causing them by our own unwillingness to regulate ourselves. We must turn back to the values and the principles that made this nation great in the first place. Trust in the individual. Trust in the individual. Trust in personal responsibility, thrift, honesty. And whether or not you want to admit it or not, we must get back to God. We must get back to faith. We need to get back on our knees and pray.